It's the 5th of April 2013. A video is released on YouTube depicting a warped, twisted, crudely drawn parody of the comic strip Garfield. The video was a smash hit. As of recording, it has around 13.9 million views, inspiring many reanimations, parodies, and unofficial sequels. Fast forward to Christmas Day 2016. Different video was released, this one depicting a man rejecting redemption at the hands of Santa Claus and suffering a transformation into the Grinch as a result.
Now, this one was a bit more of a slow burner in the virality department, not really picking up steam until 2021.
Once again, remixes and redraws of it became common. These two videos achieved virality independent of each other, and in wildly different periods of the internet's history. However, they were created by the same individual, a reclusive artist hailing from San Jose, California, primarily known by the alias PilotRedSun.
Come with me as I attempt to shed some light on the mind behind these twisted creations.
PilotRedSun may currently be the most famous alias of this man, but it wasn't the first. PRS's original YouTube channel was PokeRemixStudio, which was created on the 17th of January 2008, posting 2 videos that very same day.
As the name of the channel implied, these videos were remixes of various different Pokemon tracks, and the channel would pretty much stick to that theme. The quality of these remixes garnered a small but devoted fan base, and uploads were consistent until around 2015.
A year later, PRS adopted a second alias, an account by the name of Bittertooth on Fur Affinity, named after his first owner, a wingless silver dragon. He used this account to post drum and bass tracks. In a post dated to the 27th of November 2020, he names MadGamer, a prolific user on Acid Planet, a forum/music sharing platform intended for users of the DAW Acid Pro, as his primary musical influence.
Listening to MadGamer's discography, the influence they had on the Bittertooth project was pretty obvious. The heavily overdriven drum breaks are something that Bittertooth utilises throughout, and the particular style of hoover noise that MadGamer used is something that bears some similarities to the retro synths that PRS would use not only through the Bittertooth songs but for any future musical projects they undertook.
PRS phased out Bittertooth earlier than PokeRemixStudio, posting his last track in 2013. In its place would arrive what was to become his most famous alias.
PRS had started to dabble in the realm of animation ever since he'd made a quick music video for one of his mates' weird songs, and he decided to start a new channel to host these animations. He devised a name for this channel by taking the initials of PokeRemixStudio and mapping them to words commonly used in stoner rock bands. The result? PilotRedSun.
His animation style is deliberately janky in a way that takes more effort than just drawing stuff normally. There's a certain intricacy in every little detail, every scribble, every perspective-defying movement. PRS himself summed it up on his Tumblr page.
When an animation contains an error, it distracts the viewer. Thus, when an animation is composed of errors, it mesmerizes the viewer.
For example, PilotRedSun's second animation, Quop Animated Movie, takes a ludicrous amount of unique frames to depict a pathetically small amount of overall motion, using the snail's pace of the athlete's attempts at walking to make the abruptness of his fall all the more jarring. There's quite clearly a heavy influence from Eric Schumacher, also known as CBoyardee, an animator from the early days of YouTube, most known for his Dilbert series. However, PRS has a more fluid animation style than Schumacher, perhaps due to PRS using an actual animation program rather than just sequencing MS Paint drawings in a video editor like Schumacher did. And the tone of both his videos and music is generally less bleak. He also never appears in live action, something Schumacher did rather frequently. PRS is also influenced by the work of Famicom 2008, a British art collective responsible for Bart the General, though to a much lesser extent.
Around the time he started this channel, PRS had begun to listen to Aphex Twin, which heavily influenced his musical output from here on out. They became less energetic and more contemplative. You can hear this in some of the later Bittertooth tracks as well, as there was a bit of overlap between the Bittertooth project and PilotRedSun. The kind of retro video game sound that Bittertooth had also started to become more and more prominent. Like the kind of semi-chiptune sound of the tracks became like the hallmark of PilotRedSun's music from here on out.
PRS had truly established himself as a well-respected, though still obscure, YouTuber with the release of Garfield. And he was one of the people invited to submit a video for a death battle parody hosted by Silvermania, who you may know as those guys on Cinemassacre that nobody likes. He'd set up a Bandcamp account by 2015 and finally released his first album, Achievement, the next year. Its tracklist consisted of background music PRS had composed for his animations, as opposed to the standalone tracks he'd been releasing across Tumblr, SoundCloud and Bandcamp for the past year. However, after a 6-month hiatus following the release of Grinch's Ultimatum, his style changed with little foreshadowing. Starting from Thelonious Bolus, the crude, scribbled style of his prior animations was gone, replaced with a well-shaded, almost painterly appearance. The outright jank replaced with a subtler, uncanny valley.
The music would also take a backseat. Unsettling ambient noise was now the primary soundtrack to PRS's videos. Even his voice had changed. His calm, deadpan tones had now been replaced with a coarse, distinctly SoCal bark.
A shining example of PRS's new style is what I personally consider as a magnum opus, Ultimate Fuel, an animation that depicts a punkish man in a Mad Max-style post-apocalyptic future attempting to acquire fuel for his hydrocarbon-powered car. The animation is wonderfully detailed and toys with its style far more than any of his other works, occasionally slipping back into his old pseudo-MS Paint style flat animation and making copious uses of photographic images in a way that doesn't feel too obvious. It also contains the most quotable dialogue in PRS's entire filmography.
You don't have the new state-of-the-art biodiesel they've been rolling out?
Around this time, he started contributing shorts to the annual Nightmares anthology hosted on the channel of Wayne-Stop Enterprises, successor to the earlier mentioned Famicom 2008 that PRS had joined, also posting a cryptic ad for the group on his own channel.
Despite being the most well-known member of the group and one of their primary draws, he was never a core member. He only ever really contributed to the Nightmares series and to Chimps on a Blimp, one of the group's many slapdash video games.
Eventually, in 2020, he was noticed by the Suits at Williams Street and was commissioned to make a couple of shorts for Adult Swim. They feature a demanding father who attempts to teach his son Wally survival skills in a snowy wilderness, to no avail. His style is rather toned down for these shorts, with more grounded animation done in his old style and a coherent plot. PRS doesn't do any voice acting either, leaving the job of voicing the father to Canadian stand-up comedian Nick Flanagan, a fellow member of Wayne-Stop Enterprises who had done some voice work in a couple of PRS's contributions to the Nightmares installments. All in all, the Wowie Winter shorts are a rather bizarre footnote in PRS's career. PRS had set up Patreon to help supplement his career a couple years prior, with him uploading more of his music to the platform. Following widespread unauthorized uploads of these tracks to YouTube, PRS would eventually start uploading the Patreon tunes, a mixture of remastered versions of his Tumblr tunes and new tracks, to a third YouTube channel called PilotRedSky, which is where the next chapter of his career begins. PilotRedSky is PRS's sole ongoing project. Every few months he'll upload a single or EP, complete with some freshly drawn cover art. His drawing style has become increasingly more detailed as the channel has progressed, despite his musical style largely remaining consistent from his PilotRedSun days. This new channel has managed to stay largely under the radar, as PRS only links to it from his Patreon page, making it rather hard to find if you're just a casual viewer. A second Bandcamp account has been set up as well, where said singles and EPs can be purchased. He has also been uploading the songs he made as Bittertooth onto a fourth YouTube channel, complete with new art of the mischievous dragon. The PilotRedSun channel, however, has been dormant since August 2020, when Mr. Fujiwara's Office was uploaded. He did still contribute to the 2021 installment of Nightmares though, so it seems his animation career isn't quite dead yet.
Still, it's rather appropriate that his career's gone full circle. He started as a musician and he has returned to that vocation. The peak of his career may be behind him, but he's been at it for 14 years. He seems to enjoy his status as a more low-key name now, and I think he deserves the rest, to be honest.